254. That's how many days it's been since the launch of Battlefield 1. I think it's about time to take a look at the game, take a progress report, see what's changed since launch, whether it's the player population, the community, weapon balance, vehicle balance, bug fixes, everything. Let's do a complete Battlefield 1 progress report and sort of see where the game is right now and potentially where it's going. Why don't we start off with the player population? I see time and time again, whether it's on Twitter or Reddit or my comment section in YouTube videos, that Battlefield 1 is dead. The game is far from dead. It was losing player population very quickly for a long time, although that was in line with pretty much every other Battlefield launch. What's happened in the past few weeks is a little bit reassuring though. We've actually seen the average population stop decreasing and it's actually increased a little bit. Now, it's not to say that the game is like turning around and gaining a huge amount of players, but it's not to say that the game is in an unhealthy situation either. With an average of 150,000 peak players per day spread across 3 platforms, it's certainly not in a bad state. Unfortunately, the PC player base is relatively low considering how old the game is, but it's still a perfectly playable game on PC, depending on the game mode you choose. Conquest, Operations, and Team Deathmatch are all pretty easy game modes to find. You should have no problem getting into those games regardless of what platform you're on. Sadly though, especially if you're playing on the PC, you're going to have a hard time finding games of Frontlines or Rush. Even during peak hours, you might only find 1 or 2 servers playing either of these game modes. Now, when it comes to changes made to Battlefield 1 since launch, I think some of the biggest changes we've seen so far are to the Conquest game mode. It used to not count kills towards the ticket system. Now it counts kills towards the ticket system. It's changed the flag cap points and reduced them significantly compared to what it used to be. However, you still can't make epic comebacks like you could in the previous Battlefield games. And I think a lot of players kind of missed that feature from Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, being able to be down by like 300 or 400 tickets and stop the ticket bleed and come all the way back. That's no longer really a feature in modern Battlefield 1 Conquest, which is unfortunate. Another big change that's been made to the game has been the amount of grenade spam. DICE has reduced this significantly, which I think has overall improved the gameplay on some of the less clustered maps. If you're playing on a very clustered map, say 64-player Fort de Vaux, there's still going to be a huge amount of grenade spam, and that's unfortunately unavoidable just because of the proximity and the quantity of players in that map. A lot of vehicle balance changes have been made. Tanks have had a little bit of nerfing done to their repair ability. Some of their health has been nerfed. Airplanes have had a lot of modifications to make some of the less popular variants more usable. Overall, there's been a lot of good changes made, and compared to how it used to be, vehicles can't mop up infantry kills quite as easily as they once could, but still players have adapted, and I've seen plenty of players, myself included, go all round in a tank or even an airplane without dying and just mopping up tons and tons of kills. Infantry are still extremely limited when it comes to their actual weapons on fighting armor, especially at range, where tanks can still engage very effectively at further ranges where infantry really don't have that many options, and an AT rocket gun is usually an easy way to get yourself killed against a good tank driver. Same with airplanes. Snipers can do a little bit more damage against aircraft as they come by and make a pass, but it's still very difficult as an infantry to try and deal with any sort of vehicle threats. Time to kill and weapon handling in Battlefield 1 is still very different compared to previous Battlefield games. That would be BF3, BF4, Battlefield Hardline. They all balance their weapons fairly similarly in style. Battlefield 1 has taken a very different approach where bullet deviation is factored in a much bigger way to try and limit the ranged effectiveness of your weapons. A lot of players, myself included, don't really care for it, and it doesn't seem like DICE is thinking about changing this back to the old way. Within the actual weapons themselves, there has been a lot of weapon balance since the game started. The sniper class has a fairly even spread. A lot of the sniper rifles are used fairly evenly amongst each other, but in other classes, like say playing the support class, the BAR is still by far the most popular support weapon, and the assault class is Hellriegel, Automatico and Hunter 10A shotgun. So some of the weapon balance between guns isn't still particularly great, and there are some very obvious go-to weapons. The bayonet charge has also seen a fairly significant nerf, making it much easier to counter. However, they haven't nerfed the ability for you to trigger the bayonet charge at point blank range, allowing you to get an instant melee kill against a player without much accuracy or skill. So still an annoying mechanic, but far less annoying than it used to be. If you enjoy playing Team Deathmatch, the elite classes are still available in that game mode by default, which is unfortunate because TDM should be purely based about KDR, and when you put an elite class in that game, that does tend to upset the skill balance, or it makes it more about camping the elite classes than it does about actual gunplay and skill. Alright, now let's talk a little bit about player progression. This is something that I think the community has unanimously come together and said there just isn't enough player progression in Battlefield 1. It was a criticism of the game almost on day one, week one, if you will, as many players unlocked 90% of the things you could acquire in the game within, the first 20 levels or the first 30 levels of playing, which really doesn't take that long. Since then, DICE has added 8 elite codexes to the game, which require you to get 500 kills with a weapon to unlock, and the unlock basically gives you a little card that you can view in your stats page. It doesn't unlock any sort of new weapon skin or anything like that. They've also allowed you to progress your class rank level to 50 from 10. Again, this doesn't unlock anything in game other than changes the color of your class symbol from bronze to silver to gold. It's really kind of underwhelming in terms of progress overall. DICE has promised a lot more progression in the next DLC. I don't know what this is going to be. I remain very skeptical of this, but hopefully we will be getting something more. Very recently, the Battle Pack system was changed over from a random reward system to a merit-based reward system, which is a very good step in the right direction. It means better players or people who play the game more are going to get battle packs more frequently and hopefully get cooler looking skins that they can show off in game. Now, when it comes to free content, DICE has really only released one free map for vanilla players out there, and that's Giant's Shadow. I think one of the lesser maps in the game, but that's just my personal opinion. Beyond that, we haven't seen any other free content for the vanilla version of Battlefield 1. Instead, we've seen a very big shift recently with the free map content that they're coming out all being put in the premium bundle. So it appears DICE is really trying to shift a lot of their marketing towards increasing the value of premium and hopefully increasing the premium sales, and the Premium Friends program is also geared towards increasing the premium player base. It's not a great system overall. I think DICE already knows that this is sort of the last hurrah of premium, and that the next Battlefield game won't have a premium program at all, and will hopefully follow in the footsteps of Star Wars Battlefront 2. But as it stands, it appears that most, if not all, of the remaining free content for this game might be behind that premium paywall. Not great news overall. Even if you have premium, it just generally means there's going to be less players to play on the new premium maps. But unfortunately, that's just the system we have right now, and it's going to be the system for the remainder of Battlefield 1. That being said, the next DLC, In the Name of the Tsar, is coming out with 11 new guns this time around, as opposed to the 6 new guns from the They Shall Not Pass DLC. 11 new guns is impressive. That's on the level of Battlefield 4 DLC. If DICE can keep the quantity of new weapons at a high for the DLC, it should hopefully increase the value of premium. And with the second DLC coming out, we might get more adopters of premium, as that will mean a total of 17 new weapons with the adoption of premium. And then the next DLC will increase that further and further beyond that. So as the DLC comes out, the premium value will go up significantly. So to wrap up this progress report, I would say in the last 254 days, DICE has made a significant amount of changes. When it comes to the more contentious issues of Battlefield 1, especially the progression system, basically nothing has been changed for the progression system, or at least nothing significant. Tank balance hasn't been changed too significantly. Gunplay has not been changed too significantly. And so some of those contentious areas, if you didn't like them at the start, you're probably not going to like them now, but it does appear that DICE has kind of drawn a line in the sand with how much they're willing to change the core elements of the game at this point. That being said, the player base has solidified. It's even on the growth a little bit. And hopefully we'll see that over the next several months as well. I think a lot more value is going to be added to the game when In the Name of the Tsar comes out and future DLCs, so maybe we'll see a higher adoption rate of premium at those times. All in all, I do still enjoy playing Battlefield 1, and I am excited for the future DLC. I think it's going to add a lot of value to this game. I still do have my same gripes with the game: tank balance, weapon balance, conquest, game design. I think those are all kind of areas of BF1 that are the weakest, and then of course the progression system is pretty much non-existent still. So I still have those issues with the game, but it has come a long way, and I think it's far more playable than it used to be. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.